Brakatea Howell, Brakatea Oshai, Brakatea Howell, Brakatea Oshai, Brakatea Howell, Brakatea Howell, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Chakudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the whole elect out there. You Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in that most truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shimon, this week's topic is going to be entitled A Response to 6 Black Men versus 1 Secret White Guy. And this video was uploaded by the YouTube channel Jubilee. And in the video, these guys are blindfolded, and they pretty much told that, look, one of you guys are white. When somebody here is white, and you just got to interact, vibe with the spirit and all that, just to figure out who the white dude is. And when you watch the video, right, the white dude in the video, so-called white, you know, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know how this ends, you could just fast forward this video and go watch it for yourself. But fuck it, I'm just gonna say anyways, pretty much he fooled them, you know, because his whole spirit, basically the guy was adopted by Jakes. He was raised by Jakes. His whole spirit is Jake. And it's very reminiscent to when we tell people out there, you can't just, oh, a guy is white, or a guy is this, or a guy is that. You got to feel their spirit out, right? Now in the video, pretty much his spirit was so relatable to Jake that they checked him off as a Jake. But because of his upbringing was very rough, right? But we on this side, we telling you, similar to the video, how he got a pass because his upbringing was very rough. He taught everything he does like Jake, and he's not faking the funk. He was just raised by the culture, right? It's the same thing when we have a lot of guys that don't necessarily look like a so-called black, Latino, or Native American, all right, but his spirit resonate with the scriptures, you know? So we say, hey, look, more than likely that person is in the Jake, because this truth is not gonna, the scriptures tell you, in the book of Psalms, it's one of our basic scriptures, he revealeth, that the Lord is only dealing with Jacob. He has not dealt so with any other nation. Hold on. But let me, real quick before I get that, let me read Psalms, 1 John 1 and 1 John 4 and 1. It says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets is gone out into the world. So you have to try a person's spirit. How do you try a person's spirit? All right, through the scriptures. All right, that's how you know if the Lord is working with a prophet or not. You line up the scriptures, because the spirit of Yahweh Shah is the spirit of prophecies, right? So if you're dealing with an individual, one of the prophecies that, you know, you go into Deuteronomy 28 chapters, it speaks about the curses that will fall upon our people. That's a good telling sign. That's how come you got guys like Eminem, Elvis Presley, all right, that the curses hit him. Hey, Ric Flair is easily an Israelite if you have any sort of spiritual eye to discern. But guess what? He was also adopted, right? But his whole spirit is that of a Jake. So when you watch this guy, you know, this dude, he fooled Jakes. He was like, a lot of, you got other Jakes that got eliminated, but he made it to the very end and he won the money. And when you watch him, you watch this video, he has a very confident swag about him, you know. So even though his biological parents were so-called white, he just fit in with Jake. He just always fit in with Jake. It wasn't very uncomfortable for him or nothing like that, because don't get it twisted. At the end of the day, this thing does come down to whoever your father is. And that's in the book of Numbers 1 and 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees or genealogies, right, after their families by the house of their fathers. See? Now, that's how things used to be done. You used to keep a record, all right, of your genealogy. That's all, the whole book of Chronicles, stuff like that. Chronicles, chronological order of the seeds, you know what I mean? You know, I'm son of son, I'm son of this, I'm son of that. But now we don't got no records. Really, we don't got no record saying, look, I go back to Benjamin. Here's my record. Look, this is my father. My go boom back to Benjamin. It's all faith and lining up the prophecies. Really, the prophecies. You see, and faith. We believe according to the Bible prophecies that we're the children of the Most High, and the Spirit itself bears witness with that, pursuant to the Book of Romans, the 8th chapter. All right, the prophecies line up with Jake, man, and you can't escape the curses, no matter what your skin look like. You see. And if you're a prophet or chosen of the Lord, you're gonna gravitate to this word again, no matter what your skin look like. This thing is not a skin color thing. That's how come I use the word so-called white, because we're, first of all, nobody's white or black. The Bible deals with nations and nationalities. The so-called white man, or commonly called white, is the nation of Esau, Edom, that have put that word white upon them because it's not a skin color thing. It's a vibration thing, right? White is associated with purity, pure. That's how come the Most High was adorning, white. Always speaks about white because white is pure. Now, when you look at black, black is negative. It's void of light. It's absent of light. It's, so much negative connotation. And that's what the so-called white man uses. He uses a lot of word magic. He's not going by nationalities as the Bible does, or as most other cultures do. He started slapping colors upon people. That's how come the book of Isaiah says the Lord is going to pull back the veil of the covering cast upon all nations. Because the so-called white man has slapped labels and names over all the nations of the earth, all right, that are not in the Bible. Why? So he could hide. He's trying to hide and cover up his tracks, because he does not want to be tied to that Esau Edom, because Esau Edom is that only nation that's promised no mercy, all right, in the kingdom to come. That's how come if you have Microsoft Word, you could do this test right now. Type in Esau, type in Edom. It's going to have a red line under it. Now, when you see red lines on the Microsoft Word, it means that word don't exist. But Esau, Edom is a word. It's in the Bible. You see, so he's trying to cover his heritage. That's how come you have movies on the Bible, the Egyptians are white, the Israelites are white, everybody's white. But how come they don't show Esau, Edom being white? See? Hell, even amongst the Mormons, they flipped it around, saying that leprosy is to have dark skin. So they know their history. They try to lie and hide shit, all right, to confuse people. But guess what? The Lord reveals his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. That's the book of Amos 3 and 7. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the numbers of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. And the Apostle Tahar, he uploaded a video, all right, of a brother out there, and I don't know where he's from, but he looked like so-called Asian, right? But he's calling on the name of Yahweh. And look, you don't have to talk all swaggy or nothing like that. You can talk how you talk, man. You can talk how you raised. You could have a so-called uppity upbringing, all right. We don't give a shit. It's does this thing resonate with your spirit? Does this truth resonate with your spirit? Because this thing is not going to be, this truth, this knowledge, this understanding is not going to dwell with the heathen, point blank, period. It's just not going to happen. You see? Let me see if I could. Wait, is it Psalms 147? I can't believe I forgot the scripture, man. It's not good. I believe it's Psalms 147. Lock in. Alright, this is it. Psalms 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob. I mean, that right there should just, and we could just, pretty much wrap the show on that, but let's keep going. He showeth his word unto Jacob. So the Lord is not going to reveal the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to a heathen, no matter what they look like. For example, a heathen could look like a so-called black man, right? Woolly hair, gray, dark skin. But if it's a heathen, this thing ain't gonna resonate with him. So the same way in this lesson, in this video, How that dude, he got the pass because his whole spirit clicked with that in the culture of a Jake, which more than likely you watch the video. I think that guy is a Jake. I believe he's a Jake, you know? But why? Because shit, man. You know how they say you can't judge a book by its cover? That's true, but more often than not, a book is pretty much accurate to its cover. You know what I mean? But every now and again, you truly can judge a book by its cover. You have to read the book. Most books, the covers tells you you gotta get an idea. You had that book, right, that blew up amongst these women, 50 Shades of Grey. Look at the cover of it, right? Pretty much tell type of shit you want to read, right? Most books are this way. But every now and again, you have a book with a cover, you can't really tell what it's about. You gotta read the book, you gotta open it up and kind of figure, it's the same thing with reading the spirit. Not every Sometimes it's easy, like boom, like that's a straight up Jake. So every now and again, you gotta open up that book and read it, see what it's about, what's the backstory. You know what I mean? That's how come we don't just write everybody off. You could come up talking like a white person, look like a white person, all uppity and shit. We can't just write you off here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This person. Oh, like a lot of times you see certain people from different countries. Like you might, oh, that person's from there and there, but they start singing, dancing. You're like, wait a minute. That's some Jake shit going on right there. You know what I'm saying? Because now you just started reading that book. You started reading that spirit. You know. I mean, it's really sound advice a lot of times to judge a book by its cover. See a nigga with a bunch of tattoos and teardrops on his eyes and shit. More than likely, that person has a past and could be very. But I'm not saying that's always the case. You have people that reform and all that. But for the most part, like for example, a chick, going out dressing very promiscuous, more than likely she's a hoe. But that's not always the case because you have a lot of women out there, all right, that might not be hoes but dress promiscuous because in their mind they think it's acceptable. All right. I'm saying it's the same thing with this truth, man. All right. When you're dealing with individuals, you can't just like this asshole Zabak. Let me not call him an asshole. Priest Zabak, right? He's teaching. Okay, let's give him that. Years ago, he had the Korean dude come up, and his whole mannerism, movement was that of a Jake, and he was really sincerely trying to acquire the word. And even his old man in his camp was like, "Yo," because Zabak asked him, was like, "Yo, y'all think he could come in our kingdom? Y'all think he's a Jake?" Even his own men was like, "Yo, that's a Jake." And Zabak was like, "Hell no, hell no!" Like anybody that with a spiritual eye could see that Korean dude, just whole everything about him screamed Israel. But this guy, for the sake of just not trying to be, on the GMS doctrine as they would see it, no, hell no, he's not king. It was like, yo, just made a fool of yourself, man, because that guy was clearly an Israelite. You shut up the kingdom of heaven to him. Can't be doing shit like that. Says he showed his words unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgment unto Israel. So if this thing resonate with you, you watching this, you watch the videos, and it's just this thing just clicks with you. You understand that the so-called white man's the devil, that we're gonna put these other nations in slavery. America's gonna be destroyed. All this thing is just clicking. But you just happen to have the physical appearance of another nation. Well, guess what? That's just a demon you have to battle. See, everybody got their own demons and shit that they got to struggle with in this truth. And them brothers out there that might not look like, they got cursed really, right? With that physical leprosy, whatever. Or they might be cursed to look like another nation. At the end of the day, listen up, Hakim. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is not coming to deliver flesh, right? The Lord is coming. None of us, nobody's flesh is going to be delivered. The Lord is coming back to deliver spirits. So with that in mind, that's what we got to work with. That's what we got to deal with. The spirit of men. You see? 2 Corinthians 10:7. Do you look? Oh, wait a minute. Did I even read? I didn't even get a chance to read 1 Samuel 6 and 7. Pardon me. It says, but the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance. Because this goes down to when the Lord told Samuel to find a king, a new king. And they went to the house of Jesse, and Saul was thinking it was David's brothers. That was the next king, because he was all big. And they were all big. They just looked the role, They just had that role look like, damn, this guy looked like it. It says, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. See, so the Lord ain't picked none of them dudes, David's brothers. All right, not saying they were wicked individuals or whatever like that. That's not the premise. The premise is just, that's not what the Lord was dealing with. It says, because I have refused him, for the Lord hath not, for the Lord seeth not as men see it. What do men see? Men just see the physical appearance. You know, imagine in this video, just like how you have to walk around blindfold, right? When you're out there teaching, you gotta have to kind of see it that way when somebody come up. You know, have a blindfold on at first. See if they listening, kind of feel them out. You know, for the Lord seeth not as men seeth. For men looketh on the outward appearance. See, that's what we're trying to avoid doing. We're trying to be like the Most High. We're trying to look in the spirit. Now, at the end of the day, we'll never quite be like the Most High or the angels, because the scriptures tell you they're gonna be doing the separation of the wheat and the tares. I know, but we could just, by the scriptures, you know, make an educated, more than likely assumption, you know. And the number one tell sign is, does this thing click with this individual? If this thing click with this individual, that's an Israelite, right? For men looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart, or the mind, or the spirit. See, because that's where your spirit dwell up top in your head. So the Most High, that's what He's working with. That's what we have to work with. And I challenge brothers to watch this video. I'm interested to see what y'all take on it. You know, do you think this guy's a Jake or not? I believe he's a Jake. You know, like he said, his parents is adopted. He was raised by Israelites. He always just fit in. You know, and he played it smooth. He played it. It's a very good video. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna jump now to 2 Corinthians 10 and 7, because 2 Corinthians 10 and 7 lines up really good with 1 Samuel 16 and 7, because you know it even extends out into these Israelite camps out here that go based off appearance on who they think the Lord is working with. See, because they see them guys at IUIC, the huge numbers and family, and you know them guys just have the look. They have that. They got that look, the worldly look. You know, I look at the apostles. I think personally, like, man, that's how the men of the Lord look back then. You know, very meek kind of thing going. You know, it says 2 Corinthians 10 and 7. Do you look on things after the outward appearance? That's the Apostle Paul saying that, ironically, because I'm gonna read the John Gill commentary. Which John Gill, I believe he was an Israelite. You know, he's one of my favorite commentaries I go to, because he did a commentary on the entire Bible. Who gonna do that, man? I mean, Esau searched shit out, but this man devoted 50 years of his life to make a commentary on every single Bible verse, and a lot of it is accurate. Now, 2 Corinthians 2 and 7, do you look upon things after the outward appearance, or quote unquote look upon things, ironically said, or ye do look on things, a reproof for making judgment of persons and things by outward appearance of them. So many judged of Paul by the meanness of his persons. You know, so the Apostle Paul, he already, known for the rude speech, but he said I was rude in speech, but yet not in knowledge. It says the weakness of his body, he's getting many infirmities. The lowness of his voice, his outward circumstances of life, his poverty, afflictions, and persecutions. Basically, the Apostle Paul, he was a man of the Lord was working with him, but his outward appearance was not that of like, yeah, man, this dude look glorious and shit like that. Nah. See? Whilst they look upon the riches, eloquence, and haughty ears, noisiness, and personal means of the false apostles, and admire them. And this parallels what's going on now in my belief, because the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, very meek, very lowly brothers, apostles and elders, right? And Great Millstone, we don't really do extravagant shit, you know. But a lot of these other camps out there, like the IUIC, ISUPK, even Bubble Out Blackfish, whatever he's doing, I forgot, IUG, something like that. A bunch of alphabets, man. But anyways, they shit look like there's a lot going on for them, right? They doing all these things, dudes riding around on 30, 40, $50,000 horses and doing these huge events and shit like that, and flying to different parts of the world, and another camp having gun ranges, and it gives very vibes of like the world. And look, see, the Lord's magnifying us. But guess what? The Lord ain't really dealing with that. It's not about your outward appearance to the world. It's about what are you doing for the Lord in terms of pushing out these prophecies and breaking down these scriptures correctly. That's what the Lord cares about. Most High never gave a fuck about numbers, man. All right, if He did, He wouldn't have destroyed and flood the world and save only 8 people, man. That right there should let you, Lord. Yo, at one point the Lord was just gonna say, man, I'm gonna wipe all fuck Israel, man. I'm about to just wipe their ass out. And then Moses had to plead, I know, Lord, don't do that, I mean, the Lord was never gonna do it anyways, but you know what I mean. Like the Lord is just showing you time and time again, like I don't need you, like you see. But the Most High is bound by His word, so He promised the kingdom and the covenant to His people, so He's gonna stick by that. But even John the Baptist said, "Look, man, the Lord could raise up rocks." So you people out there that's getting all infatuated in billboards and Passover fashion shows and gun ranges, y'all don't know the Most High. Y'all really don't know the God of this Bible. The God of this Bible don't need shit. He don't need no, like he's Him. You get me? So we understand that. We know He just cares about His word being pushed out correctly, and that's what we're gonna do. We don't give a hell if there's, look, the apostles already said it, man, in the sit down. Like, look, we don't care if all of y'all leave and fall out. We're gonna keep teaching straight like that. That's the spirit of the Lord. My job is just to teach this word correctly. I don't give a hell if you coming along or not. All right, because it's up to the Lord whether or not you're gonna stick around and believe this thing and endure to the end. You see, I'm just trying to work out my own salvation. It says, if any man trust to himself that he is Yahweh, let him of himself think this again, that as he is Yahweh, even so we are Yahweh. For though I should boast somewhat more of our authority, which the Lord hath given us for edification and not for your destruction, I should not be ashamed, that I may not seem as if I would terrify you by letters. And this is again going into the a whole appearance thing. It says, for his letters say they are weighty and powerful, but his bodily presence is weak, and his speech contemptible. So you understand, like these letters you read, and like, damn, yo, like who is this guy? And then they meet him, and he's like, yo, that's him. That was sort of like the thing. Like all this word is going around Paul, his letters, and so when Dan, the way he speaks is rough, and he's battling this, and then when they meet him, all right, they're like, wait, that's Paul. That's they're getting all wrapped up in in the physical appearance and shit like that. You see? But again, anytime you're dealing with physical appearance, you can't, for the most part, judge a book by its cover. You gotta, and the reason I say for the most part, because remember the scriptures do say, a man shall be known by his gait, the way he walks and acts and shit like that. Right? But sometimes again, you gotta, that's not every single last scenario. Again, sometimes okay, the cover looks like this, but let me open this book. Let me see what it's about. Okay, wow, I never knew the book was. That's how you deal with spirits and individuals. Okay, can't write everybody off. See how they gel with this word first and foremost, and then other things could tell if they're Israelites. They could sing, dance, they jazzy, cooking, or pretty much whatever they do is very saucy and salt with it, flavor with it, how they speak, everything. But again, you could have the soul. You could be the swaggiest Jake in the whole world. If this word ain't clicking with you, then you a 2/3. Meaning you're not gonna make it between the book of Zechariah 13 chapter, the 8th to the 9th verse on the first go around. You're gonna have to taste the missiles, all right? Gonna do a hard reset to your spirit. Then you're gonna get it right in the kingdom. See? So yeah, man. That was a quick one, man. Always go by the spirit. It's our job to go by the spirit. Anytime you see a video put up on a guy, you might click on a video, he might look like another nation, but wait a minute. Psalms 147 to 19 is the cut on that. If he's going into this word, breaking it down correctly, all right, and he's an Israelite, point blank, period. All right, with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Chakodash, double honors to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, which you well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there. You Akim to Sadakim that did sing that most truth and sincerity. Shalom.